Hello, welcome back to part 3 of Active Directory Services. This part is around the administration, and in part 4 will be troubleshooting. So far we covered the deployment. So let's have a look what we got under module 3. We have Delegate admin and being able to configure the relaying parties, then configure the federated trust, then custom attribute, which is more advanced, and then handling authentication, then device registration and how we can mitigate risk, and the last part is the customization of the ADFS. Without further ado, let's move on. So now we're going to do Delegate admin for ADFS. What do we have with this section? It's a new in 2016. ADFS service management can be delegated to a security group. Server admin now cannot make changes to the ADFS service. Local admin access still required for ADFS service admin. Why it's required? Because allow log on through RDP, event log access, service starting, stopping, and privilege as well. Also, installation can be delegated, which means domain admin not required for the installation anymore. We can use ADFS admin setup with a DKM container and permission for the ADFS account. This is the delegate tick boxes, and you can see there all the way down, enable delegation for service administrator, and then you can browse to your group and specify. Also you can tick the local admin account for service administration, or local admin account for service group as well. Next is how we can configure the relaying parties. So later on we will cover the support for Auth2 and OpenID Connect. That will be, I think it's next module. But with relaying party trust, or you will see it as an RP always, RPT, it represents the relationship between an application and identity provider and the federation service. Relaying parties always have an identifier. Okay? In Windows Server 2016, there are some improvements which Microsoft introduced. You can use the GUI support for adding Auth2 based relaying party, and you can use more Auth2 feature improvement supported, and they've added OpenID Connect support as well. So these are really useful for applications which require this, and if you can use against Azure AD for exposing and utilizing modern authentication, so as all these cloud apps as well. Next, how we can configure an application to trust ADFS. Let's have a look. First, claim-aware application must trust the STS before accepting authentication token. The application is configured to use STS as an identity provider or IDP. We also refer to as a claim provider, and trust is established using the token signing certificate. How that will look like for us? Let's have a look. You can see here on this page, the steps depend on the individual application itself. So apps hosted in IIS might use web.config. If you are using Angular, Java, then you don't have web.config, which means we need to understand the behavior of these apps, like either main, index, see what else they use. But in relation to the app with IIS application might use web.config file to configure the STS identifier and token signing certificate. And for the other third-party application, you need just to engage and make sure you know which file is responsible for this part of the configuration. Let's have a look at this one. You can see under web.config the thumbprint, which is for the token signing certificate, and the STS associated with that thumbprint. So again, this is applied to IIS, okay? Which means, you know, like if you are using Microsoft Azure Web Services or other application aware of, you know, like Azure Function and so on, they do use the web.config. Sometimes I've done some work recently where you know, some application, again, if like Java, Angular, JavaScript, but again, if you host this one in Azure, or they can sit on top of IIS, then which means you can add that web.config and you can do a redirection to, like, you know, a page, and you can configure these settings as well. So it doesn't need to be always, you know, web.config. Then authentication token issued to the app are signed with the token signing certificate. It includes the token signing cert without a private key, using the signing certificate for the application. This will validate it against the stored certificate thumbprint, validate the token signature for the authentication token. So this is something like this will look like for us the token validation, and you can see the authentication token, token signature, token signing certificate. We said that the authentication type, it could be claim 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the token signature and signing certificate, thumbprint. We do the validation, compare the thumbprint against the information stored, and thumbprint, it's stored, you know, in web.config. Now, if you recall, in module 2 we spoke about certificate and updating certificate. So this area, sometimes you have to do it manually, which means if we update the certificate, you know, like either auto enrollment or auto update or manual update, we need to make sure this part is updated. Otherwise, if it's using the old token or old thumbprint, which means this will fail. It is very common. I've seen it. I think that's all what I have for you for today. Next, we will be speaking about how we can add application as a relaying party to ADFS. So far in this section, we covered few topics. If you recall, we started with delegating admin. Then we spoke about, you know, the configuration of the relaying parties. We did an intro. Next, we will cover the configuration, but we spoke briefly about doing a trust or configure application to trust, you know, ADFS. The next section will be really interesting because we will be speaking about relaying party in ADFS. Okay? Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in part 2.